Ubisoft just announced in a new video documentary that in Assassin's Creed Mirage, you'll be able to turn on a nostalgic visual filter that changes the game into a desaturated blue and grey colour palette, which is the very same art style as the first Assassin's Creed game. In fact, Sarah Bellew, the narrative director, has stated that if you were to compare Mirage to the other Assassin's Creed games, it would be most similar to AC1, AC Revelations, and AC Unity, with little to no RPG elements. In fact, Mirage is just a well-packed, condensed narrative story, which is certainly quite the contrast to Valhalla, because if you didn't know, this Mirage game was originally planned as a DLC expansion to Valhalla and has since morphed into its own title. And that does mean it is still running on the Ubisoft Anvil Next 2.0 engine, which is why the graphics and some of the parkour movement that we've been shown so far do look very similar to Valhalla. But that said, that doesn't necessarily mean that because it's built on the same engine, that it's pretty much a Valhalla copy and paste. And using AC Revelations as an example here, it was originally created for the Nintendo 3DS and then turned out to be one of my favorite games of all time, with excellent reviews across the board after it did change its development direction. So do keep that in mind in regard to that Valhalla DLC foundation, because all this new info we've picked up is thanks to the one of 3 documentary episodes that Ubisoft will be releasing in the run-up to the game's release on October the 12th, with the most recent video being about parkour, stealth, and assassinations. And let's go over new stealth info first, because it was the biggest letdown for me in Valhalla, if I'm being honest with you, especially after the pre-launch advertisement where Ubisoft stated that social stealth will be a core mechanic in the game, which we now know wasn't the case at all. And that's fair enough, but just don't advertise it as such, in my honest opinion. But that has been heard loud and clear by the development team on Mirage, as Marco Maresca, the senior game designer, stated that the enemy AI has been heavily reworked to improve detection and vanishing, making the guard's behavior more responsive and reasonable, which essentially means that if your big toe is poking around the corner, all the guards in the game won't instantly be alerted like they were in Valhalla. We also pick up confirmation here that the archers in the game, which I don't believe we've seen included in an AC title since Black Flag, will be able to shoot down our eagle, as we can see here in this clip. So we can't survey our targets or plan a route in good time indefinitely. There's a risk there, which I think is really good. The spearmen will also poke through the haystacks, as you can also see here in this new developer footage. And the big emphasis in this documentary, which was very pleasing to hear in my opinion, is the improvement of social stealth, which we get another snippet of in this dev preview as well, which is really quite encouraging. Now, how this will work in Mirage is Bassam can blend into larger and smaller crowds to hide in plain sight or escape from pursuing enemies, with Stéphane Boudon, the creative director, comparing this type of social stealth design to Unity, which is more organic, where you blend into the crowd automatically as soon as you have 3 people in your vicinity, which means it's less predictable, as one person in that group of 3 NPCs could just randomly walk away and break that stealth hub and expose you to the guards, which means stealth gameplay is a lot more challenging and immersive from what we've been told. But not only that, the team are bringing back factions in this game, where you'll be able to give a certain group of NPCs money to hide within their retinue, so you're then able to progress into a certain area where the factions are permitted to enter, but you aren't. And if we just zoom into this dev footage here, these look like an assortment of merchants to me, as their clothing isn't particularly uniform. There's also this panel pop up in that footage clip here about armored enemies, which is difficult to read, but it does look like we'll have to specifically attack or assassinate them from behind due to their heavy front-facing plate armor, and that does make sense. But as Sarah Bellew, the narrative director, mentions in this documentary, the game is designed for us to stealth and be sneaky, where combat is the very last resort, and the main focus is to approach, hunt, strike, and remain unnoticed. So don't expect to be one-shotting some of these big boy enemies with your sword in one-on-one combat, just like you could do so in Valhalla. It's just a completely different type of game. Now, if you are enjoying this video so far, please do leave a very quick like down below. It genuinely really helps me out on YouTube, so thanks very much for your support. And good news, I'm running an AC Mirage game giveaway. You just need to be a subscriber of the channel to enter, and I'll pop the link in the pinned comments, so very best of luck to you. Now, as you'd hope, there is a real emphasis on assassinations in this game due to its heavy leniency to a stealth-orientated game, where there will be even more direct callbacks to the old game, specifically Assassin's Creed 2, where bench assassination animations return, which we get our first look at here in the developer kit footage, and that's a big positive for me. We can also kill enemies whilst hiding in the rooftop gardens, which I genuinely never got bored of back in the old games, and I'm very much looking forward to giving it a go here in this Mirage title. Now, as the main game is focused on becoming a hidden one and eliminating all high-ranking enemies within the Order of the Ancients, we can only do that if we set up and establish assassin bureaus throughout Baghdad, which I do think we get a quick clip of here in the documentary, with the stairs icon being reused from Valhalla, which I reckon is what we'll need to enter before unlocking a bureau in Baghdad, and perhaps that bureau will then change to a Assassin's Creed logo or icon on the map. Now, Stefan Budon, the creative director, calls these bureaus gameplay hubs, where we'll need to pick up new missions and contracts that we'll then need to complete to then subsequently unlock the identity of some of the major players in the Order of the Ancients that we'll need to assassinate, and this will then unlock a black box mission for us to complete. And if you're not sure what they are, they allow us, the player, to choose and plan the approach of a kill rather than going through a predetermined or linear path to the target, which essentially means that you can get creative and decide yourself how you want to assassinate this target. The most recent example of this black box mechanic in an AC game being the Siege of Paris DLC in Valhalla. But before you do assassinate them, there's a new investigation board that will be replacing our quest log, which is also inspired by Assassin's Creed 1, where this new investigation board will allow us to take the time to investigate our target before we kill them, providing us with crucial info that may help us within that black box mission itself. But what about parkour? Do we have any new info about it in this first part documentary? Well, yes, as Stefan went on to say that out of everything that they've discussed so far, parkour is the key pillar to the whole experience in Assassin's Creed Mirage, which does sound great. And I don't know about you, but I'm really surprised. I mean, pleasantly surprised that I'm hearing so much chat about this game being a homage to the older AC games. In fact, Marco Maresca goes on to say specifically about parkour that it's an easy mechanic to master, with its design being based on the Ezio games, where it was all about keeping the flow and momentum going. Now, I appreciate that you need to have a big marketing push with all of these golden age AC nostalgic references, and it does get me genuinely excited. So in that regard, I do think the marketing is working, but there's also a part of me here who is cautiously optimistic but enthusiastically skeptical, as this game is running on that very same Valhalla engine, which did not perform well in terms of stealth, parkour, or assassination. So I do feel that I should be managing my own expectations in that regard to what to expect in terms of a revamp and just how much development time they've had to change this Mirage game from Valhalla and what's actually capable in this modern yet old school focused stealth game. But the developers don't seem to be doing that at all, and that does give me some confidence that this game is what they say it is. But to play devil's advocate, I do foresee some potential fiery commentary from the community here if this game doesn't live up to the expectations that seem to be reiterated with every interview or new Ubisoft video. And I'm really keen to hear your thoughts about this topic in particular in the comments after this video, because this is emphasized even more so as Jean-Luc Sala, the artistic director, has noted that Basim is one of the fastest assassin protagonists in all of the series, with the parkour also being faster than all recent AC games, which again is a very big statement that I am definitely here for, and I very much hope is the case, as he did go on to state further in this documentary that Basim will be able to reach the rooftops from the street level in a blink of an eye. And this particular clip appears on screen when he's quoted saying that. And even though it's short, in all fairness, the animations do look a lot sharper or quicker, and they should do, as Marco Maresca, the senior game designer, did confirm that all movement animations have been revamped and improved from Valhalla to add to that feeling of swift fluidity. And we can see that directly in action while using the new pole vault mechanic, or whilst vaulting over obstacles inside the city streets, as they have been designed to be more dense and narrow than other AC games that contribute to that crowded city feel. Now, the vault swing does return in this game, as well as the elevators, with Sarah Bellew going on to state recently on Twitter about all of this gameplay that indeed we haven't seen anything yet, but I'll tell you what you'll want to see, and that's a more encompassing breakdown of everything we know so far about Mirage. So do click the video on your screen right now if you're interested to get fully up to date on everything this game has shown us so far, and hopefully I'll see you there in just a second. Big thanks to Nika and Peder for helping me make this video. More AC content coming to you very soon, and of course, coffee is on me.